Welcome to the Drag Me to the Movies podcast. I'm Ned.
And I'm Joe.
In this episode, we're going to talk about the movie Speed from 1994, directed by Jean de Bont and stars Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, Sandra Bullock, Joe Morton, Jeff Daniels, and Alan Ruck. So, Joe, what did you think of Speed?
Oh boy, what did I think about this gem of a film is what you're asking me.
That's right.
Yeah, so that old trope of Keanu Reeves and him having an acting style really leans in on this film. Would you agree with that?
I mean, early Keanu definitely has some things to learn.
Yeah.
So yes.
This film, I think, kind of set the tone for how I felt about it in the intro.
Okay.
And that it was boring.
Oh, really?
I mean, not completely boring, but it wasn't, I don't know. Like, let me set the mood here, right? So
Okay, yeah.
it felt like 20 minutes. It was probably 30 seconds, but the intro of them scaling down a building, an elevator shaft, I'm taking is what it was.
Yes, for the
Showing the actors and actresses and like the names of directors and everything.
right.
Felt like that was taking forever.
Yeah, it was like probably 40 stories worth of elevator shaft.
It's not a good way to get people excited about what's going to happen.
Well, what about the 3D text?
Nope, didn't save anything.
Okay.
So that kind of set the mood for me. I guess I should take back what I said about the film being boring, because the film itself is not boring. I feel like the film lacks in a lot of columns, right? There's the acting. The acting in this film is not great. Keanu Reeves, like I said, his acting was not great. It was over the top. Also kind of monotone in times. Also stiff, I guess is the way I would describe it.
Mm-hmm.
But even like, I don't know, even like the folks on the bus were very much stiff in the way they presented lines. The fellow cops were very much like, it gave me like 80s buddy cop vibes, like all taglines and stuff like that. I don't know, just for them trying to sell this as like a thriller and like high stakes, it felt like there wasn't a whole lot of high stakes at the time. Like there's a lot of bad things that happen, a lot of things that go wrong, but there's a lot of plot armor on everybody in this film as well. To certain extents, right? As I go on later, some people die that I wouldn't expect to have died, but and in other cases, people who should have died didn't, right? So I don't know. It just to me overall, this film almost felt like this may be the case, is the director's first film. It almost felt like an entry point, or an entry level like submission, I guess, as a film. I'm looking up right now if this is, how did you say his name? Is it Jan de Bont?
John de Bont.
John de Bont.
Yeah, this was not his first thing he directed.
Yeah, he started back in 87 with music videos. Oh, and Die Hard. Wow, he was a cinematographer.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just, overall, this film did not feel good to me. What I will say is that the action,
technically this was his first director thing.
It was. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then it felt like it. It felt like he had a general direction, but to me it didn't pull together properly. And I know I'm probably like way at odds with you on this, but it just, I don't know, like everything felt over the top, but not in like a satisfying way. Most of the time.
Okay.
Like an instance I can give you is, hey, we got to get you on the I-50 or whatever, right? And it's an open highway, you'll be fine. Oh, by the way, there's a giant 50-foot gap in the road, right? And you're driving a bus. You got the bus to 70 miles per hour. The bus jumped a 50-foot gap on a road that didn't have a ramp for it to catch air, and somehow it makes the gap and everybody's fine. Like that felt bad.
Mm-hmm.
The reuse of, oh, hey, LA's really bad at finishing things. The subway tracks are not done. You're screwed. Try to jump the tracks, and they try that, and and they don't jump tracks, they just skid. And I don't know, like it just felt like there's a lot of like trying to go over the top for the sake of like we need these over the top things, but yet I felt like the more practical things that happened were higher stakes to me. An example is when they were trying to go to the highway the first time, and was it the kids walked out, right? The mother walked her kids out into the road,
Right.
and they dodged the kids, right? And then all of a sudden they had to make like a right hand turn, right? Or the bus was going to flip. That to me was a high stakes, believable, like, oh man, like clenched butt cheeks kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, there's things in there where it's like, oh, like why are they jumping a 50-foot gap? That's not believable to me, you know? The unloading of passengers from a bus to a flatbed, that was high stakes, and I thought that went well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they did certain things right. I think is when they tried to embellish, I guess is the way I want to say it. It fell flat for me. So let me get your take on that. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think the embellishments were worth it? Like, did they achieve what they were trying to, or?
So I think there's some reasons for some of the things you're feeling. Number one, your practical logic for this movie needs to be thrown away. I probably could have set some things up for you to have a more enjoyable experience with this movie, but there's some things in here that I feel I'll get to later that kind of speak to some of what you're experiencing. But in general, I feel this movie, like, obviously a bus jumping a gap like they had shown it realistically would not happen. And I understand, you might be hung up on that. There's a lot of people that are hung up on that, but I still see a lot of quality in this movie, and mostly coming from the experience. And yes, there are definitely some story elements that I think could have been played out differently, but I still found this movie overall to be a great action movie for what it is.
Yeah, like I said, what they do right practically, I think they do right. But there's just a lot of like in my mind head scratchers of why they chose to do what they did. Like, why didn't they say, oh, the bridge is out, it's a 10-foot gap? You know what I mean? Like that's still to me like, oh man, are they gonna make that? Not like, watching a bus launch somewhere upwards when they're coming off of a flat ramp. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like just stuff like that just didn't feel right to me.
Yeah. No, I get that point of view.
But like I said, then like the stuff that they did do that were practical, like him being on like a cart, right, and being left underneath the bus to try to defuse the bomb.
Yeah.
Like to me, that was well done. That was a high stakes moment. What's her name?
Sandra Bullock.
She was Annie. Yeah, I was trying to think of her character name, Annie, when she's handcuffed to the pole in the subway car, and it's like, oh, sorry, you're going to be in trouble, kind of thing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the a subway car just slammed out of the ground, right, and your arms were attached to a pole, like, and she came out pretty much unscathed. Like break her hands or something. Like, give it like she got beat up a little bit, right? The fact that he brought her to a crime scene heist after she was just traumatized being on a bus with a bomb, that felt stupid. Like why would a trained LAPD officer do that? Like that didn't make sense to me. The acting at the beginning from the office employees stuck in the elevator, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were awfully calm for being stuck in an elevator that was plummeting at times. They didn't actually get kind of worked up until they were trying to get them to escape out of a hatch. And even then, like it wasn't, to me, like they weren't like screaming, they weren't like, it was all single file, like just kind of calm and nonchalant. Like I don't know, it just felt like there was energy missing
Okay.
from some of those scenes as well.
That's fair. I mean, as you said, I do not feel that this is the best acted movie. Now, I do feel that there's kind of one exception to that, but I'll get into that later.
Okay. The fact that that dude blew himself up at the beginning, and the LAPD didn't question that there wasn't a body or parts of bodies laying around, you know what I mean? And they were celebrating that, Jack and
Oh, he's
Harry were.
incinerated.
Was he though?
Totally.
Yeah. And the other side of that is, do you want to point a gun at a guy that's got enough explosives to level a building and the bomb goes off and it kind of takes out like an office room? turn off his, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't even that big of an explosion. Sure, it knocked Jack backwards, but it didn't
I
level a
mean, that was a
building.
fire safe door, so
Oh, okay. So there, again, it just felt like there was some decisions where it was like, what is going on here, you know? And
okay.
in fact, now that I'm saying it out loud, if he did in fact explode that bomb, it was enough to knock Jack back. Shouldn't it have also hurt him as well? He was within that reach of the bomb. You know what I mean? Like he was unscathed when he
Oh, he was
showed
thrown
back
right
up.
against the door, man. I'm sure he's feeling it.
Who was thrown against the door?
Jack.
No, Jack. I'm saying Howard Payne, like the bad guy, right? That was him, right? Howard Payne.
Oh yeah,
If
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember the
Dennis
names right.
Hopper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like how could he have thrown or exploded a bomb in a room that he was with and be fine?
I mean, he's a bomb
And
expert, so he knows exactly where he needs to be.
oh my lord, Ned. Oh boy. But yeah, so there's a lot of holes in this. There's also a lot of one-liners in this film as well that I don't think landed too well.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of that happening.
I
The
like that
commissioner
one.
like shouting one-liners. Like don't go get dead, Jack. Like who says that? You're not too bright a man, but you got some big round hairy cojones. What else? Yeah, anything else that'll keep this basement or this elevator from falling? Yeah, the basement. Just like oh man, it very much felt like I don't know. Like I've seen these tropes in like 80s good cop like cop buddy movies. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing again, but it's just like I don't know. It felt like they were just throwing things at this movie to see what stuck in ways. So I mean I don't know. Let's go back to other decisions that were made. So Jack stabbing the gas tank with a screwdriver to hang on, right? Sure that adds some stakes, right? They're gonna run out of gas quick,
Right.
but couldn't they have just run out of gas in general? No, I'm not so upset about that one, but it was just something I thought of like the whole time. I'm like, they're gonna run out of gas at some point, and then that wasn't even a thing until he stabbed a gas tank. I think that's it as far as like things where my brain just wasn't like grasping what was happening.
Okay.
But I think if I had to talk about like highlights for the film, like as far as acting, Sandra Bullock did a good job. I think still though, she falls victim of the this isn't a terribly big deal at times kind of attitude. There's a lot of smiling going on and flirting and like don't forget the bus is still an explosive and you're all gonna die. Kind of thing. Kind of, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Sam, I thought did a good job as the bus driver who got shot, even though that was still kind of a little off. Like I said, most of the acting in this isn't very good. Yeah, I don't know, man. This film was okay to me. Didn't hold up, I think, to the hype that I've come to hear. What is it, 1994?
Yeah.
31 years later. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell me? I've been talking for a while. Why don't you tell me where I'm wrong?
All right. So I obviously don't feel that this is a strongly written dialogue, at least. I don't think there's a lot of solid acting. I acknowledge that, Sandra Bullock and the bus driver guy did all right. Even, Keanu Reeves did okay. But Dennis Hopper to me, I thought worked pretty well. Yes, he's kind of meant to play like a little bit of a manic individual. Little off hinge. So I don't know. I just appreciated his performance. And I don't know. For me, like this is an action movie. I don't always expect the great dialogue or like usually there's some quips and things in there. Like I don't know. This definitely has the feel of the 80s being brought into the 90s. For me at least.
Yeah.
And looking at the director and where he comes from, it kind of makes sense because as you noted, like he had ties with Die Hard and stuff where he was mostly into cinematography, but he's definitely heavily influenced by those types of movies. And you can see the reflection of like, Lethal Weapon 3 or Hunt for Red October and stuff like that in Speed, which I appreciate on some level. Plus, another aspect of this is aside from the really crappy, 3D text at the beginning, which, might have been probably high tech at the time, there's a lot of very practical things done in for this movie effects wise that I really appreciate. So, the bus blowing up, that actually was a bus blowing up. The bus running into the airplane and blowing up, that's all practical. The train scene at the end. So that is something like there was a lot of, I guess, production companies that this movie bounced back and forth between. But eventually it got fleshed out that they didn't feel the ending after the bus stuff finishes was enough. And that's where the train scene got tacked on, where I don't feel it's as fully fleshed out. And they used miniatures to kind of play all that stuff out, which you can tell. But overall, I didn't hate it. Like, could I have done without it? Sure, I think so. But I didn't like lose anything with it being included for myself. So a lot of the practical effects and stuff in there, I really also appreciate kind of like the domino effect that kind of happens in here where you have things kind of building upon each other, and it just leads into one other thing going wrong or like discovery of something. Him troubleshooting the whole, okay, he's got some video here, we're going to try and put that on a minute loop because, oh, we only have a minute because, I hit the gas line or we were running out of stuff, and oh, we're going to take this into the air place because, choppers and helicopters can't go in there, so that's a controlled airspace, they can't constantly watch us from that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that it's a fairly simple story overall, and I feel they did a good job of organizing it and having the key events in there that triggers the next thing. That's pretty much the credit I give to the overall story. I appreciate the effort in those details.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, they're like I said, they do certain things correctly in this film. I just feel like there's again a lot of things that fall flat. And so you mentioned about like the practical effects, right? Like, yeah, I agree. There are great practical effects in this film, and even the models of the train side of it.
Right.
I didn't pick up on that so much. So
Okay.
it was good enough to at least fool me. But you brought up like, yeah, the plane exploding, right? Like that was another thing that I thought of, right? Is so all this is going on, LAPD is there. Would they have not shut the airport down? You know what I mean? Should things not have been stopping? There were still planes taking off when things were when this was going down. They make a point to show scenes of planes taking off while they're driving around. The
I
plane
mean,
that
if you
explodes, right?
stop planes, is that going to stop helicopters from coming into the airfield?
No, 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 no. I'm not getting to that point. I'm getting
Hmm.
just going to like plot hole things, right? Like I like that that's limited airspace, so it's stopping.
Right.
I agree with that. That's well done. Well, I guess what I'm trying to get to is yeah, there in my mind for every like one thing that was done well, there was a bunch of like let's just do this and let people accept that that's what happened. You know what I mean? But where I was going with the plane, right, is there was what 20 some people on that bus. Is that right? We'll
Something
say
like that.
just
Yeah.
ballpark, right? And the idea is they can't let 20 people die, right? That bus hits a plane that's moving across. Was the plane full of people? Did they just kill 300 people with that bus when they were trying to save lives? You know what I
No,
mean?
I don't know.
Like
I feel like
they don't address that at all. Like what happened there?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, it was empty, but it might not have been. I don't know. I feel like you're almost reading into things a little bit too much for this movie, which is fair, and it's definitely a viewpoint that I think probably others have had. But honestly, I don't know. I feel like this is one of the best action movies from the 90s just for certain things, not necessarily story, or it's not going to win any awards and stuff like that, but as far as like a sit down dumb action movie, I love it for that.
And I feel like maybe that's where I'm having a hard time is that I didn't go into this expecting that.
Okay.
And I don't know if I just had trouble tempering my expectations with this, but I,
So
I and I also almost feel like too that like if they would have just leaned one way or the other, I feel like maybe I would have liked it, but I feel like they split too many times of practicality versus like crazy over the top shit. You know what I mean? So
hmm,
maybe that's part of the reason why I couldn't settle
maybe.
at any point with this film is that it was kind of all over the place with
So
decisions that they were making.
just out of curiosity, like what had you heard prior to going into this movie that you're like, oh, this is
All
like,
all I knew is that this was a pretty good action film, or considered a pretty good action film from the 90s. The bus couldn't go below 50. I knew that premise was like the whole thing that this film was based on. And that's about it. That's about
okay.
as far as I know about it.
But in your head, you obviously had it as more of like, a great factual action packed movie.
Well, not factual, but
Okay.
believable, I
Okay.
guess.
All right.
Like, I
That's
know
fair.
this isn't based on a true story kind of thing. Like, this is, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. Maybe the other side of it too, Ned, is like, I didn't typically ever watch movies like this at the time.
Okay.
So I'm more accustomed to modern day action where it's more practical when shit goes down. Maybe that's what's leading into this as well. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely went into this with a certain mindset, and it didn't match that vibe that I had set up.
Yeah, I guess for me, like I grew up watching things like Lethal Weapon and stuff like that. Which maybe at the time I was in kind of that mindset, and that's definitely the mindset I'm in when I go back and watch something like this is
Hmm.
just those like, late 80s, early 90s action movies all kind of had elements similar to this.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed them. Like, I mean, like if you look at something like Die Hard and compare that to this, Die Hard is definitely a much better movie. The dialogue is written much better there. The set pieces just flow together better in that situation. But I don't know. I feel if this had maybe some better acting in it, maybe some better written dialogue, it might be something you would enjoy a little bit more.
Could be, could be.
Yeah.
I honestly, I mean, I go back to what I initially said too. Is I think that elevator scaling intro
Mm-hmm.
kind of ruined the mood right off the rip
Okay.
for me,
Okay.
and maybe even put me in a low demeanor at that point.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. Did you have any thoughts on the music?
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you what I heard as far as
Okay.
music goes. I think I was just so engrossed with what was going on
All right.
that I didn't really even pick up on it.
That's fair. I don't know. For me, like I love the opening scene and how it kind of brings you into the whole world. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of plot holes and things that I feel that could definitely be better. But in general, I kind of like the idea of having, this mad bomber guy, and turns out he's a cop who's been jaded and he has his own things that he's looking to have settled. And you have this hotshot cop that's, trying to make an impression on the people and run around and defeat this guy essentially. Like that
Right.
overall as a concept, I'm like, yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah. I even like again attention to detail of that gold watch being what gives it away
Hmm.
for them to think it's a cop, right?
Right.
Like they do some stuff well in this film. Like I don't want to poo poo on it completely, but I just feel like it again was just so inconsistent with what it was throwing at me.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see how you got to where you are with it. Makes me a little sad to hear it though.
Yeah, I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we'll have these sometimes, man.
no, no, I
We'll have these
completely
days.
understand. It's interesting to me. Like, I always enjoy talking to people about this stuff and trying to like understand if you were in the right headspace when you saw it, or if you had some misconceptions early on. Like, I don't know, because you look at movies like this and you try to really analyze, like, okay, in the past they've like Die Hard, they like Lethal Weapon, Speed should be a big win for them. Which, granted, we're not getting into Speed 2, which I haven't even taken the time to watch it because of how bad I've heard it is. That's a journey I might take someday just to see how bad it is, but I have not done that yet. Which, in this movie, you have speeding, there's a car scene, there's the bus scene, you have the elevator, you have the train at the end. Do you know where the second one goes?
Just because I have IMDb open, I saw that they're on a boat
It's a cruise ship,
at some
yeah.
point.
Yep. And this was, I think, like 5 years after the movie Under Siege, which also dealt with like a cruise liner, I think.
Okay, is it the same bomber
No,
in that one?
no.
Okay, good, because I don't know how you come back from your head being snapped in half.
Yeah. Or sorry, it wasn't a cruise ship in that one. It was a actual battleship.
It
But
was a battleship.
yeah,
That's
it's a movie
ridiculous.
that had Tommy Lee Jones and Steven Seagal, Gary Busey. I remember it being fun, but it's been many years since I've seen it. So
Interesting.
yeah, all right. Well, I don't think I'm gonna win you over. But yeah, I just typically I find this to be a fun movie. I go back and watch it, every 5 to 10 years. And it's not by far one of my favorite movies, but it's definitely one I do consider probably. It might make my top 100 if I were to actually sit down and crunch the numbers and stuff.
Okay.
All right. I guess you ready to score it?
Yeah, let's score this thing. So yeah, I landed at 2.5 out of 5.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I gave it a
Where did you go?
3.5 out of 5.
Okay,
So
it's not too big of a spread.
no, could be worse, right?
It's true. It's true. Like I said, I was passionately feeling ways about this film, but like I said, overall, it's not a bad film. It's just not.
It could be better.
It just wasn't. Yeah, it was a bit of a roller coaster, not in a good way for me.
All right, that's fair. All right, so I guess for next recommendations, I don't know if you'll like this one or not. It's a David Fincher film. It is one that I feel most people enjoy that take the time to watch it. It's a little bit of a trip, but it's a movie called The Game. What do you know about it?
I don't know anything about it at all.
Okay, so it has Michael Douglas in it. So
Okay.
there's that. He's a good actor, typically. Are you a fan
He
of
is.
his?
Yeah, I am.
I mean, it's been a while since we watched Romancing the Stone, so
It's true. That is true.
but yeah, we're gonna go watch The
I'm
Game.
into it.
All right. I hope you enjoy it. It's one of those movies that I think has you almost reflect on life a little bit afterwards. But it's more of a fun ride, shit going sideways type movie.
Okay.
If I'm really trying to set you up for expectations, as I feel I need to do after Speed.
Yeah, let's see if that helps.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this episode. Be sure to check us out on Threads and Facebook at To The Movies Pod, and we are also on YouTube at The Movies Pod. So thanks for joining.
Yeah, and what are we going to be covering in the next extras, Ned?
Oh, our next extras, we're going to be talking about Joe's favorite 90s movies.
We sure are, and I'm excited.
And then we may follow it up with mine after that. We'll see.
Yep. No, we totally should.
Okay.
Unless we're 100% in sync, then that makes for bad content. But I doubt we will be.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously,
all right, Ed. Well,
Speed.
thanks for dragging me to 50 miles per hour.
No problem.
In Los Angeles.
I hope you somewhat enjoyed it.
I did. At least 2.5 out of 5 for it.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.